Hi, I'm Joe Clark, Managing Partner of the Financial Enhancement Group, and thanks for listening to Your Retirement Playbook. You have a lot of decisions to make. You have a lot of opportunities to be able to decide what to do with the money that you've saved. You've done the heavy lifting. You've worked hard. You've said no to things so that you can accumulate what you have. Now it's time to carry the ball across the finish line, to enjoy your financial journey, to separate from the workforce. Are you tired of volatility and decision making and taxation and not understanding the tax code? Don't you think it's time for you to have a professional fiduciary? If so, give us a call at 800-928-4001 or go to yourlifeafterwork.com. Find out what the Financial Enhancement Group can do for you. Again, if you want to do this on your own, that's your business. But if you're looking for a fiduciary, that's our business. Go to yourlifeafterwork.com or call us at 800-928-4001. Hi, I'm Joe Clark. Welcome to Your Retirement Playbook. Happy to have you along this morning, this afternoon, whenever you're listening. That's the beautiful thing about podcasts, right? You can listen to the show anytime you darn well please. And please do subscribe to our podcast, even if you listen to it on the radio, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, but as well as our YouTube channel. Most of the time, I am merely talking. Every now and then I use the whiteboard. But if you want to see the video, the character behind the camera, if you will, you can always go to YouTube. Your Retirement Playbook is the full show. We also have 6 individual shows that focus on just specific topics. Tax planning show, Your Life After Work, the Legacy Planning show, the Investment Playbook, the Better Giver show, the Life Planning show. People ask me about investments all the time. Do not forget to go to our website at yourlifeafterwork.com to get signed up for the Market Carver. That's our weeklet video that comes from Adam Harder, our CFA, our Chief Investment Officer, as well as Andrew Thrasher, our Charter Market Technician, myself or Zach or somebody else chime in occasionally when somebody is on vacation. We are talking in this show today about some of the challenges that really arise inside of the financial world that can get to be frustrating. They get to be complex. And, you know, when I quit teaching at Purdue, I spend most of my time and energy teaching people that we hire and bring into the financial planning unit. And by the way, shameless plug for those of you listening to the radio, we are looking for associate advisors and people that are senior advisors that are listening to the show that would like to interview with the Financial Enhancement Group. It is certainly not right for everybody. But if there's somebody in your family that's interested in this industry, that would like to sit down and have that conversation, we are more than happy to engage in conversation. You can merely go to 800-928-4001 or go to our website and simply type that in as a question, and I will have the right person get in touch with you or somebody on my team will. Understanding what people's roles and responsibilities are critical. I use the word associate advisor and senior advisor. Well, those are great titles, but what do they mean? And inside of the Financial Enhancement Group, they mean a lot. Each of us understands what our role is inside of our box. Some of you are going to be familiar with EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. That's how we function. It's a system of management. Associate advisor, that person understands their roles and responsibilities. Paraplanner, that person understands it. Senior advisor, that person understands it. May not mean anything to you. Right? So let's take this to your life. Let's go to legacy planning. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be gone. It'd be maybe for some of us, I don't want to be that person, but for some of us, I'm told you want to spend the last dollar with the last breath. Right? We just don't know when that last breath's coming, which makes that very, very difficult even for you to do. That's not my intention, not my design. I want to leave behind something for the next generation and for the charities and places that I care about. Taking care of my family. But when you look at this, you're going to hear various titles that people throw around: power of attorney, durable power of attorney, healthcare directive, executor, trustee, successor trustee. And what I've found in 35 years of being in this industry, that it is a lot like associate advisor and senior advisor. You hear the names, and you may have a little bit different understanding, but you don't have a definition exactly what to expect of each of those roles and responsibilities. So what exactly is the difference between an executor and a successor trustee. Now, I've got to tell you, I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV, nor radio, nor YouTube. I have attorneys that I work with, collaborate with all day long. So if I miss this from a legal standpoint, please forgive me. But my executor takes care of all of the things that are not owned by my trust. My trust is managed by the people that are my successor trustees. Now, in many cases, the person named the executor in your will is also the person named as the successor trustees inside of your trust. So they may have overlapping or over defined responsibilities. In my case, they're not the same. And you need to know that. You need to be aware of that. Because for some people that's right and for some people that's wrong. I'm a fan of trust. I have yet to have somebody explain to me in the world that we live in today why a will is sufficient if I want to have some of the following. One, privacy. I don't think the world needs to know everything that Joe Clark owned. I'm not ashamed of anything. There's nothing hidden in the closet. But, where I leave my money, how I leave it to other people, I believe is my doing, not other people. If it is held in a will, that's public knowledge who receives money. If it's held in a trust, it's private. Secondly, I want to be able to have some control over how my assets are distributed at the end of my life. And some people say, well, Joe, my will does that. And in most cases, it does that via what's called a springing trust. A trust sprung to life after you were gone. Why in the world would I want a springing trust if I could just have a trust? Why not just do it so that you can control it and understand it prior? And again, I'm not an attorney, not practicing law. I work with attorneys. Your estate planning attorney or my estate planning attorney, that's fine. We have a multitude of them we work with. But, so I'm not trying to practice law here. I'm just telling you my opinion of this. I want as much control over that as I can. So privacy, control, simplicity, I want it to be very, very simple. But at the end of the day, there's some other reasons too, but at the end of the day, the biggest one obviously is avoiding probate, so I want to get that out. In my will, that has to go through the probate process. Inside of my trust, it does not. So I'm a fan of of utilizing a trust. Somebody has to be in charge of that trust when I can't do it in the event of one of two things. I die. Now, we will all die, so this is 100% available or 100% actionable. I will die. It will happen to all of us. And so I think people put more emphasis on the death part of what happens to their assets when they're gone, which is why it's very easy to say, hey, Joe, I really don't care. I'm not here. A will is just fine. If I'm not here, they can sort it out. They can separate it. It's all good and done. The challenge is, remember I said there's two things that can happen when I'm incapable of taking care of it myself. One is I die, and I will die. The second, though, is when I become mentally or physically incapacitated. I don't like this, but statistically, that is probable. Yes, the American Medical Association now tells us 52% of us will pass with a diagnosis of dementia. I am not comfortable spending 40-some years of my life accumulating assets, saying no to Disney, no to things that I could have done in order to save and accumulate money for a future generation. I am not in any way, shape, or form comfortable thinking that I will allow myself to make financial decisions while simultaneously being diagnosed with dementia. And what I commonly hear from people is, Joe, my kids would never let that happen. All I'm telling you is in 35 years I've done this, I've never seen kids stop somebody from doing it. Right? Now, that's not fair. Never's a long time. If you're put in an institution, I've watched your kids do it. If you've I've watched them take your keys to the car and say, Mom, Dad, you can't drive. I've watched people in their late 80s, specifically in their 90s, say it's probably time for me to intercede and take over the checkbook. And the parents generally do that willingly. I've also watched them vehemently object. There's a family in Anderson that I talked to. He's 88 years old. He's accumulated a bunch of money. His 60-plus-year-old daughter is saying, Dad, you need to give Joe the money. The wife is saying, please, honey. And the dad obviously has no ability to make financial decisions, but they won't follow the documents that are put together because they don't provide for a transfer of that control. And I have no idea what's happening to the money or the resources. We don't manage it. We just understand the problem. So in that successor trustee, you've got to name somebody who's going to step in the event you die. That's one. Or two, in the event that you're mentally or physically incapacitated. Now, here's the tree of decision making that most people endure. The first one is that they look at it and they say, okay, I don't really have anybody in my family to be able to make these financial decisions. So I'm going to leave this to a professional to be able to take care of it. And so they'll name a bank because most financial institutions don't have a trust services division. The Financial Enhancement Group does. You can name us as the successor trustee inside of your trust. Now wait, there's more. Don't just go out and call your attorney and do that by itself. The second decision in the tree is many people say, well, from a character trust standpoint, I trust my kids or my spouse more than anybody else on the planet. I know they won't hurt me. I know they won't make any bad decisions intentionally. And I trust them, and I don't know this person working at the bank, or I don't know this person at the Financial Enhancement Group. Fair enough, right? And so they'll name their kids as successor trustees. The problem, in my opinion, is the financial trustee has no business taking care of your life issues, right? Yet they've been named successor trustee. In most trusts, they're given the obligation, the responsibility to take care of not just financial obligations, but actually generally caring for you in terms of the income needs and the things of that nature. Your kids, on the other hand, if you name them, may have no understanding of what to do with the assets and the resources that you created. So inside of my trust, I have two sets of successor trustees. They are indeed in charge. I have a mechanism in place when I am mentally incapable of making my decisions, and that's a whole nother conversation. But when I'm mentally or physically incapacitated or dead, there are two sets of successor trustees that kick in. The ones that take care of my life issues, where I need to live, the doctors that I go to, how much money I need monthly to be able to maintain the standard of living, what I need to have happen at my home. And then the second side is the professional management of the assets, that I've saved and accumulated in IRAs and 401ks and the value in the trust account or the brokerage account that we build over time. The successor trustees' roles can be split, but you need to be able to think about those two things that can happen, not just one. You will die, that's guaranteed. Less of us will become mentally incapacitated, that is true. But if that incapacitation comes to you, it can disrupt, it can destroy 40 years of hard work and labor of accumulating assets. It can wipe out family generational wealth. Don't let that happen to you. Go to yourlifeafterwork.com.